Hey all of you, hope you guys are great. So this is where we left in the last video and we had successfully completed our post method in our API. In this video we're going to focus on the get NFT, okay, single NFT. So let me give this command and call get single NFT and we'll start building the functionality for that. So let's build the functionality app.get. Same method we have to follow here because we want to get data, okay? We are not posting data, we are trying to get it. So we have to construct the URL. Same URL is going to be because the resource is the same, and here we have to pass the ID, okay? And this ID is going to be the ID of the NFT which we want to retrieve, okay? And here we have to send the responses, request response. It's going to be an arrow function. Simple, hope it makes sense. And here we're going to send the response back. We have to send the status code, so it's going to be 200, and data will go in the form of JSON. Status is going to be success, and that's the setup we are doing. So let's come here and let's try to find out this ID. So let me do this console log and let's look for the request.params, okay? So whenever you pass any parameter in your URL, maybe it's a filter, or maybe it's an ID, or maybe it's some sort of string or some sort of data that would be available in this params, okay? So let's have a look. So to test this, what we can do, let's come back to the postman, and here we're going to define the IDs in our NFT. So first thing we have to do is simply copy and create a new one, okay? And here we're going to simply save it, and we'll call it single NFT. Save that one, and this is the get method, okay? And here we have to specify the ID. Suppose I want to access the data which ID is 2, okay? So I want to access the data of ID 2. So if I make a request, you can see I got this success status. But the interesting part is here in the console. If I scroll up here, you can see we got the ID, and that's ID is coming from request.params, okay? So we can use this ID to match with our local database and get the data and display to the user, okay? So that's what we have, our ID. And that's coming from there. You can change to anything, 5, hit the request, and you will get the ID 5. So this is also working fine. And the interesting thing here is that you can take multiple ID. It's not necessary that you have to take one ID from the user. Okay, you can take multiple IDs. So if you want to take multiple ID, this is how you can construct slash, and you can define all the way like how many IDs you want to take, okay? So this is how you can do it. So if you come here and here you can pass this one, okay? So I have passed this, and this is how you can pass all the IDs. So 5 2 4 3 1, okay? Because we are taking 3, so make it 3 and make a request. So if you do that, here you can see success, and here you can see ID 5 E2 D4, okay? That's how you can take IDs, multiple IDs, okay? And you can make it an optional as well. So if you want to make an ID optional, so you can provide this question marks, so it become an optional. So if you come here and if you remove the last one and try to hit the request, you will not get an error, okay? And here you will say that ID 5 E2 and the D1 is get undefined, okay? D is undefined. But if you remove that and make the request, you will get an error, okay? So make sure you have to keep this in mind. So we don't need this 3 ID, we need only 1 ID. So that's what we're going to utilize. Let's come here and we're going to take this NFT, and we have this NFT, all the data inside this NFT, and we're going to use this find method. And from where we are getting this find method, so this find method is coming from Express, okay? So I believe that you guys have opened up your Express documentation and MongoDB documentations. So whatever function I'm using here, make sure you take the reference from that. So we have this find method, and in this we're going to take this element, and we have the ID, and we're going to try to match it, okay? So we don't have this ID variable, we're going to create it. Let's come here. You can simply type this request.param directly here, but it's always important that you have to make it separate, okay? So let's take a variable ID, and we'll say request.params, and we're going to take the ID and we're going to multiply with 1 because the ID will come in the form of string, so we have to convert into a number, okay? So that's what we have, and that's what we're going to pass it here. So in this way we can easily able to match the ID which is coming from the URL and the ID we have in our NFT array, okay? So we can match it and we can send back the data to the user, okay? So we have that, and now here we're going to send back the data to the user. So we'll say data, and we'll say NFT, an NFT. So name is same, so we can remove one NFT and we can send the back. Okay, and make sure you do this change. Come here and provide this 3 equal sign. Okay, now it will work. Save it and come here and try to make a request. So this time we try to access the ID number 1. So make a request, and here you can see we got the ID number 1, the C Explorer. Okay, ID number 1. If you come here in the data, you can see number 1 we have this C Explorer. It's working fine. Let's change the ID to 7, hit the request, and here you can see we have the data to ID number 7. Let's make it to 8, hit the request, here we have the ID 8, the Northern Light. Working fine. But what if we want to pass the ID which not exists in our database? So what we'll get? Let's hit the request, and here you can see we get the request success, but we don't have the data in our database related to that ID. So we have to build some sort of lock, some sort of validator, okay, which validate the ID. So we're going to build that. Let's come back here, and here we're going to build the validator. So the way we can, so there are multiple way to build the validator, but I will go with this approach. So I'll say if ID is greater or equal to the length of the NFTs. If that's the case, then we want to send this response. So make sure you use this return keyword because we want to exit from this function. Okay, we don't want to continue. So if you not provide this return keyword, it will keep executing and it will stuck. Here we have to define the status code to 404, and then we have to send the data in JSON format. So fail, and the message we're going to define that, let's say message invalid ID. Okay, that's the message I want to return. So make sure you remove this only greater, okay, not equal. So that's looking fine. So let's come here and try to hit the response. So this is the ID 2 we can easily able to get, but if we try to provide something 5, it's also working. Now let's increase this to 50. Let's 56, and you can see invalid ID. So our validator is working fine. Okay, so this function is also working fine. So you can do one thing, cut and simply copy here, and even you can do something better. So we have this NFT, all the NFT we have in this, simply comment this part and replicate this and simply comment this one, and you can say that remove this. You can say if the NFT not exist, the one we want, then simply call the function. So you have these 2 options. Okay, you can write in many ways. It will work in the same way. Okay, if you hit 5, here you will get the data. So that's looking fine. If you want to 1, it's also working fine. Okay, so hope you have got the idea that how you can get the data from your local database and how single NFT requests make sense. Okay, so that's working fine. Everything's looking good. Our API is slowly taking shape. So that's the thing I want to cover in this video, that how you can retrieve a single NFT from your API. In the next video we're going to talk about that how you can create, update or delete NFT. Okay, so let's move to that.